before you came on, I was actually I was watching Harry Enfield.
Oh yeah. Is he a big influence?
No, but just
That's the end of that.
Yeah, setting that one there. No, I just watch a bit of it. Okay, I'll introduce you on. I've started recording. Hello, Gareth. How you doing?
Hello, Taryn. Very well, very well. How are you?
You don't have to sound so professional, mate. It's T.O.C, mate.
Sorry, shall we try it? Let's try it. Let's try again. Start that one again.
Okay, I'm keeping that in, by the way. Hello, Gareth. How do you do?
Yes, Taryn.
They say take.
How am I meant to answer? No, all right. Go again. No. No, I'm good.
Take 3. How you been, anyways?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for having me, mate. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm used to doing these a bit more professionally, so I'm used to doing the. Thank you for having me. Great to be here. You know, that kind of talk. So yeah, just let me loosen up a little bit. You know.
Yeah.
And,
this is a comedy podcast. You can say any old shit you want on this one.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if I could swear, but you've just answered the question. So.
Thanks. Say what the fuck you like, mate. Yeah, swear as much as you want. But yeah.
All right, fuck off.
I didn't want to talk about this, but I had to. It's the big news. The update, which isn't an update. It's just
man. More of the same.
Those of you listening and watching, we're talking about the lockdown in Leicester, and we're both from Leicester, but I'm just outside the actual zone, but you're right in it.
I know, you bastard. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I am. I'm in the city. I'll be honest with you. It was actually a challenge to perk myself up for this interview, which I was looking forward to until the announcement. And I thought, oh man, I'm quite glad it wasn't a somebody I don't know interviewing me, because I'd have to really put on a front, and like it's a gig, Yeah. And I can just be a bit more myself with you and say that it's really, really depressing. I've got to be honest. It's
a bit. You don't want to say like piss take or stuff like that, but it feels like a bit of a piss take, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I mean, a friend of mine, I went round his house the other day, and he was saying you kind of feel it's not like this, and we all know it's not like this, but you kind of feel a bit singled out as Leicester.
It does feel a bit like that.
When it's just a city as well. I've got loads of mates who don't, like yourself, who don't live in lockdown areas. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just like, it's really, and for it to now be another 2 weeks. Yeah. And it's just, you get to a real like Groundhog Day kind of feel. Do you know what I mean? Where you're thinking, oh, another day of this kind of humdrum monotony kind of thing, especially with like what we do as well. We,
exactly.
Touring and entertaining and all that, which we talk about on my podcast, On the Road With, available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And
this happened on the last podcast I did. Whenever I get other people having have their own podcast, I like to plug. I will plug your podcast. Don't worry, you don't have to do it yourself. But yeah, okay.
If you want a job doing, do it yourself, Tony. And I've. What was I saying? Yeah, so like with touring and all that kind of stuff. I was saying to somebody earlier, it's a different kind of busy. Yeah. Like my busy is usually traveling around the country doing gigs, and then traveling to a school and doing a workshop, and I've got my regular school jobs teaching wise and stuff as well. And at the minute, I am fairly busy, but I'm just sat on my arse all day. Do you know what I mean? Just doing this sort of thing, teaching, meetings. Recording projects as well. It's been good to get more into the studio side of things, because that's one side of being a musician that we occasionally neglect and we don't do a lot of, and it's all we've been able to do in this lockdown. So that's been nice, but I'm a bit bored of the live stream thing, and the studio's getting a little bit kind of old hat now. Do you know what I mean? It'd be nice to have some balance with playing live and doing some studio stuff. That's what every musician wants. So.
It'd be nice just to have an audience.
Well, it would. Yeah. I was talking. In fact, I had another comedian on yesterday on the podcast.
The only comedian on there. Bloody hell.
Well, season, mate.
I might get another musician on then. Fuck you.
Yeah. Your new season, mate. You're so last season, and you're so season 2. No, season 1. You're season 1. Season 1. Oh, season. That's just vintage. That's like your first. That's like your first girlfriend. Like, who? Can't remember her name.
Yeah, moved on.
But yeah, no, I had comedian Sarah Bird on. Bird. Sorry, I get confused with her sister, Lauren Bird.
I know the name.
Yeah, she was at. I'll tell you where I bumped into her, and I got to know her a bit better. I've always known her because she's a singer as well.
Yeah,
I've always known who she is, and she's always known who I am. But we've not talked at length. And it was when we went down to the shed, me and you, when we went to the comedy night. She did a set. Short hair, glasses. She got up and did a set on there. So I had her on the podcast yesterday, and she was saying that the whole audience thing. I was saying about you, how you've given it a go with the whole YouTube reaction videos, and you've been quite creative at like how you can do things without an audience. And she just said it's just not for her. Do you know what I mean? And I think it depends on your style of comedy as well.
Yeah, the thing is, with the reaction videos, that's the reason why I do those is because they're actually quite easy to do. Because you
said that. Yeah,
it's literally just me watching something and then saying, that's literally all it is. Whereas I did dabble in doing actual stand-up, like live stream stand-up. And I think I've said this before, like music, you can get away with it because you could just play the song and that's it. Whereas we are a reactionary kind of art form. We need people there who can react to what we're saying. So if I'm saying a joke, I don't know who's laughing. For all I know, it could be the most hilarious joke in the world. But
you do that kind of. I've seen other comedians doing it where they kind of make a joke, then they do the awkward like that to themselves. You know what I mean? Anyway, it's like. But I bet for you, it's like you feel like every joke has bombed. Do you know what I mean? Because you're just thinking, okay, is that not funny? But it probably is. Do you know what I mean? But you just.
And that's when I've got an audience, but it's like when there's but it's it is strange. I mean that's why I stopped doing those live stream stand-ups because it wasn't for me in the end. But I know some people have carried it on.
Fair play to them, mate. Fair play to them.
Yeah, but you are a musician. Yes,
I am. Yeah.
Yes, I've known you for a while. I can't fucking get rid of you.
But, yeah, well, we've kind of reconnected over the last few years, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been great, but it's been emotional. But you've always been into music. I mean, I suppose I should make this sound a little bit more professional. As you say, you are used to professional podcasts. What got, for the people watching and the people listening, what got you into the old music game? Because I already know, so I don't know, but
you can take your headphones off.
I'll sit back. Yeah, I'll sit back and
ramble on.
You crack on, mate.
What got me into music? It was actually my granddad gave me a second-hand trumpet because he was the kind of guy who dabbled in pretty much most instruments. Trombone was his sort of forte, but he dabbled in most instruments. He played a little bit of clarinet. He tried drumming for a little bit. He learned the guitar, and he had this trumpet. He never really got on with learning the trumpet, so he kind of gave it to me as if you want to have a go sort of thing. And that was what kind of inspired my love of it, really. I joined the local Scout and Guide marching band, St. George's Parade in town, with my little beret on.
As most cool kids do.
Yeah, really cool. A lot of street cred went with that one. And I did the whole brass band thing as well. So that was playing the cornet, not the trumpet. So for those who don't know, the cornet's like a smaller, more mellower sounding, sort of more warm sounding version of the trumpet, and then you get to the flugelhorn, which is really, really warm and really mellow. So if you can play one, you can play them all.
Yeah.
And they're all in the same key and stuff. So trumpet players generally play those three things, not just the trumpet. So I did the brass band thing, and then went into the East Midlands Youth Jazz Orchestra, which was where my love of big band and swing came from. And then it was kind of time for uni. So it was. I was in a band called The Deep People. You probably remember them from when we were kind of college students.
I think I do remember, actually. I think I sprayed shaving foam on some of them at one point. I can't remember now, actually.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. In the basement.
Yeah.
One of many things that happen in the basement.
We'll come to that in a bit.
Yeah. That's later, and that's after 9 o'clock.
Yeah, post watershed that one.
And at 9 o'clock comes. Thank fuck for that.
Yeah, now we can talk about the tits. No.
Tits, bollocks, wank. No. So Deep People. That was crazy days. That was that was kind of doing a lot up in Manchester because we had the Happy Mondays link. So the bass player in the Happy Mondays, Mikey, who you might remember, was the singer and songwriter and guitarist in the Deep People. So we did a lot of that, and then that kind of naturally came to an end, fizzled out type of thing. And then the Paradigms. So Drew,
yes, I do remember the Paradigms.
Yeah, so it's still going, and Drew emailed me. I'd say still going part time, occasional thing. And Drew emailed me out of the blue really while I was at Birmingham Uni, and I wasn't doing loads music wise at Birmingham. I had quite a cool kind of hip hop band on the go, but we were doing just a kind of uni circuit of gigs around the university, different events. We weren't doing that much. Occasional gig in town, 1 or 2 in Leicester. And then Drew emailed me out the blue, and I didn't know who Drew was at that point. He's become a really good mate, but I didn't know him at that point. And he just said, I'm after a trumpet player. I nipped into the donkey and was the old landlord who's gone now. He gave me your card.
Yeah.
So here I am emailing you. We want to set up this sort of old school reggae and ska band. I've attached a few songs. We've got I don't know if you know him, but Dave the Hammer, everybody called him. So he was a doorman at the Donkey. He had died, unfortunately, and he always wanted reggae and ska at his wake. So we put together. He said, "Look, initially we're just going to put together a band to play at his wake, which is at the Donkey, and then we'll see where it goes from there." Yeah. So we got together and did that gig, and from there, it wasn't any of the same members apart from me, Drew, and Gux, who did that first gig, but we and Chris was involved, Gangley as well, big Chris, and we went on and did some fantastic gigs, did Summer Sunday, and we did a lot of stuff in London. We had a fairly decent following in London, and that went on for nearly 8 years. So did that, and then in the meantime, the King Bastards performed that in 2015. That's really, really taken off until the COVID situation. We had a full diary. It's not quite as full now, as you can imagine. And I joined the South in 2012 as their trumpet player. And I depped in 2012, and then I sort of joined full time in 2014. Yeah, and then it was only in the last 3.5 years or so I've started singing myself as well as a lead singer. I've always done backing vocals, but as a lead singer, and I released my first album in 2018. So
there you go.
That's a kind of potted history, really.
Yeah, I asked you what got you into it. You gave me your whole bloody career.
I know, yeah. But once I'd started, I got halfway through, I thought, well, I can't turn back now. I thought,
might as well carry on here. That's fair enough, mate. I mean, one thing I've
after that, I thought you were going to go, okay, thanks for doing this, Gareth. Bye.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, got all I need.
Yeah. No, go on. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, thank you. One thing I've now this is going to be like, say, people who look in on the whole rock and roll lifestyle. It's the groupies. Now, in comedy, we don't get those. There's not when I've been on tour, gone to different cities, not many times has there been females coming to me going, "Oh, you were so funny, let me throw myself at you." But I'm sure in music you probably do get a lot of that. Maybe even now, I don't know. You are still, your looks is kind of hung in there a bit, but
well, they are at the minute. You haven't caught me on the best day, Taron. Let's be honest.
You're the best day. I've got greys coming out here, mate.
I've noticed that. Yeah, bloody hell.
So it used to be 1 or 2. Now it's like a full set.
Yeah. Both sides though. At least it's not one side. Then it look a bit strange if you've only got the one side. But
don't look like a fashion statement. That would.
Yeah. Deliberate. No, Dud. Yeah, you do get a bit of that. It's obviously now,
I wasn't pimping you out, mate.
In a different, just ladies, yeah, no. But no, you do get a little bit of that, but not really in the styles of music I do and the bands I play with. Yeah, the audience tend to be slightly older. They've got families, been married a long time, middle-aged, a bit more middle-aged. Do you know what I mean? So you don't get that so much. I used to get a bit of it at the festivals. Yeah. And stuff in the kind of Paradigms days. But again, the Paradigms audience really was that kind of two-tone and reggae audience who are slightly older. So it doesn't mean you don't get it, but you just don't get it as much, really.
You ain't got the stamina.
No, that's right. Yeah.
What's the weirdest gig you've ever done? Like something that's just been a bit like, that was fucking odd.
Weird. Oh, I'll tell you what the weirdest gig. Well, the weirdest one of recent years, anyway. I might think of weirder.
Yeah.
A bit later, and I'll bring them up if I do. But the weirdest one I did last year was it was brilliant, but it was the Loxham 7-a-side World Cup. Right, so it was the football 7-a-side. So it's sponsored by a company called Loxham.
Yeah,
and we were playing the opening ceremony with the Brastards, and with King Brastards, and it was a big deal. You know, me and Steve, who sort of in different ways run the band. Steve does the kind of technical side, the recording and videos and that, and then I do a lot of the bookings. Although a lot of the others are starting to get involved in that as well now.
Yeah.
And me and Steve had to go to a technical meeting before the gig. That's unheard of. Like, we had to go up to Lilleshall in Wales.
Yeah.
Which is like the home of elite sport. You know, all the elite sport goes on there. And we had to sit in this kind of production meeting. That's what it was called, not a technical meeting. And it was a production meeting, and it was really funny. We were going around the table, and they got to Steve. Everyone's saying, hi, my name's such and such, and I'm in charge of health and safety for the event. So any health and safety concerns? This was at the start of the day. We'd had our bacon rolls and our coffee, very corporate, you know.
Of course.
And then they're going around the table, and they're all going, you know, I'm the event planner for this event, or I'm in charge of security. Big jobs, really big jobs. Got to Steve, and Steve went, "Hello, my name's Steve, and I played the sousaphone." like that, and everyone's like, and he said, "And I ride a bike while I'm doing it. So if you need to know about riding bikes and sousaphones, I'm your man." It was proper Alan Partridge.
Quite an intro.
Yeah. So really, really, really funny. And I'll tell you a funny story from that production meeting before I go on to the gig. So my missus at the time, Amy, she worked for an office rental company, like people hire offices, selling offices, and she used to get on really well with one of her colleagues, and they became really good mates. And in the floor below them in this building where they were in one of the offices, but they were selling the rest of them, you know, on contracts. And the floor below or the floor above, there was a sex toy company were working there, right?
Okay.
So they went down there, and her colleague got one of the toys and was like going to put it in his mouth, you know, like, and she took a photo, like, and they're having a laugh, like, down in this kind of sex toys offices, and they're like getting the toys and swinging them around and like proper, you know, really like laughing hysterically. Very mature. My wife's very mature,
of course. Yeah.
And so she sent me these pictures. Like, she said, "Oh yeah," it said, "How's the production meeting?" I said, "Yeah, it's all right, a bit different." And then she said, "Oh, this is what I've been up to this morning," and sent me these pictures like that, scrolling like that. And I'm going to Steve, "Hey, look at these," like laughing, you know, like proper, like immature, like that. And then the event planner, Shannon, she a lovely girl.
Yeah,
she sat on the other side of the table, and she came to give me a site map of the thing. She walks around with this site map going, "Hi Gareth, just to let you know, the site map's changed a little bit." And she goes to put the map down on my table. It caught me by surprise. I went, "Oh, sorry," like that, dropped my phone, and the phone landed on the table with this picture of this sex toy with the bloke putting it in his mouth like that.
Oh dear.
Terrible. So absolute classic. But the gig itself, me and Spen, the other sort of singer in the band, he plays trombone as well. Yeah, we started the gig up on a drone. Not a drone, like a crane. Sorry. Okay. So we were up on a crane above the stage. The rest of the band were on stage. I had these very headphones in, actually, in-ear monitors, which cut out after I went up so high anyway, so they were useless. I didn't know where we were in the song or whatever. Yeah. There's a video somewhere, actually, on Instagram, I think, of us messing about, and we're doing sound check, and it's windy as anything up there, and we're trying to say 1 2 1 2, and so we started the gig with King of the Swingers from Jungle Book, and the band are on stage. A great tune, yeah. And one that because we did quite a sort of funky video for it in Abbey Park, which you can find on YouTube, King Brastards. It's one that we've become sort of quite well known for. Yeah. And so we started with that. That's what they asked for, and it was a very specific brief. We wanted to start with this one, and we didn't get much flexibility. I think we only picked 1 or 2 tunes ourselves, and we're all in football. We're all in football kits, not our normal band uniform. We're all in football kits, and so we're on this crane going over the stage, and like we rise up, going, "I'm the king of the swingers, oh the jungle VIP," like that as the crane's coming up. And me and Spen are thinking, this is going to be, this is our Wembley. This is going to be massive. It's a 7-a-side World Cup. And we went up like that. And then we looked over the tent where the stage was in. And there was about 300 people, but in a huge field. Don't get me wrong, 300 people in a little venue would be great.
But it's all spread out.
It's massive. Yeah. It was bigger than the Beecham playing fields.
Oh, right.
Do you know what I mean? It was outdoor, and the stage was tiny. Like it was the most bizarre thing. And when you watch the footage back on YouTube, you can see all these drone. We saw on the day all these drone cameras up in the sky, and all the footage from them. And it just looked like it goes onto the band, and we're all dancing around, great. Then it goes onto the audience, and they're just like, there's just hardly any. It looks like there's hardly anyone there. But when we got onto stage, we went up on the crane, came back down, then we went back onto the stage and did a normal gig.
Yeah.
But when we were on stage, it didn't feel like it was empty. But just from that height, we were way up in the sky. Yeah. From that height, you're thinking, I'm not even singing to anyone. But yeah. So that was probably up there with the most bizarre gigs, really.
Yeah, I mean, the bizarre ones are the ones that you can like talk about, and there was, I remember before lockdown, I did a gig near Stevenage. I forget the actual town, so I just say Stevenage, even though when I said it was Stevenage, they got offended by that. It was. I think it was towards the start of like when everyone was going about lockdown and everything. And this is like a real middle class area, and this is how middle class it was. The only place that was busy was M&S. Right, everywhere else was empty, but people were like, I need my M&S.
Priorities, yeah. Waitrose and M&S,
of course, essentials. But I went to do the gig, and I didn't know until I got there that it was a competition, and there was 15, 16 comics on, and usually you really want about 5 or 6 comedians. This guy
that sounds like way too many, doesn't it?
It was a bit excessive. And then there was this guy who was emceeing, and then he goes, "Yeah, I've been emceeing for the past 20 years, mate. I know what I'm doing, mate. I'm experienced." I went, "All right, so this better be good." And then the first act, like usually an MC at any comedy gig, they have to warm the crowd up. You have to warm them up. Get them going.
Get it going, yeah.
And this guy just literally, the MC went out. He went, "Okay, so are we all good? Yeah. Now here's your first act." I was like, I was like, so you haven't even done anything. So the first night, and then we had to pick the way we knew our running order was we had to pick it out of a hat to find out our running order. And then I accidentally missed it wasn't my fault actually. I missed my slot because the MC got my name wrong. He went on there and he went, "I'm looking for so our next act is Kieran."
Oh no!
and I'm standing back there going, "Well, I guess Kieran's on now." And
I remember when I first met you.
Yeah,
you were going, "Yeah, it's Taron," and I said, "How'd you spell that?" I can't remember why I was writing it down. Maybe we're in a group together in science or something.
It's a weird one.
Oh, what's your name, mate? Taron. And he said THARARUN.
Yeah.
And I went, "Oh, TH." And you went, "Yes, not Tharon, not Taharon. It's Taron." Like that. I thought, all right, mate. I didn't think it was anything else because you just told me.
Mate, but that was... I've got to set the bar high from there. I had a whole lifetime of this shit. Like every time I go to like another classroom, this is mostly at school. Every time a new teacher would like read the register, I'd be like, "Here it goes. Here we go." They go, "Tharon, it's Taron." And then that's why I came out with this bullshit. Like, it's like Darren but with a T. And
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And then people go, "Oh, it's funny that." I'm like, "Yeah, it's not that bloody hard, mate."
I got a funny one in Wales recently. Obviously, Gareth John is pretty much as Welsh as it comes.
It's about as Welsh as Lab, mate.
As Welsh as David Jones, you know what I mean?
Exactly,
proper, And so we're in Bridgend. We did this 2 days in Bridgend Shopping Centre, playing for an event they had. we stayed at this hotel, and I booked a massage the second morning. You know,
as you do.
I know, yeah, proper, yeah. As we say in the Bastards, proper mincy that was, and proper poncy. And so I booked this massage.
Lingo there for you guys?
Yeah, it was not really. It's just our bullshit, really.
Oh,
but so I booked this massage for 10 in the morning, and then they said, oh yeah, it is a 24-hour bar, but after a certain time you need to order them back. You know, you need to phone down and order it, and we'll bring it to your room, sort of thing. And we thought, oh, a bar, yeah, actually, we could, you know, we didn't need to be in until midday, 1 o'clock the next day at this shopping centre. So we thought, well, we won't get like rat arse, but we can have a few. So I thought, 10 o'clock's a bit early, actually. And we ain't got to check out till 1. I thought, I'll move it to 11. Now, on the thing, it says there's a charge of 20 quid to move your times. I thought, I'll try and get away with it. So I went up to the, sorry, that was my phone pinging there. Have you heard that? I went, very unprofessional. Let me stick it on.
That's the first thing I did was put my phone on silent.
I know, I'd have been pissed off with you if it the other way around, actually.
I've had messages going off like mad over here.
I'm sure you have, Taryn, yeah. I'm sure you've had loads.
You know, showbiz and all that.
Bookings flying in.
Oh, look, it's another one. Oh, yes.
I'll get back to you in a minute.
Oh, NatWest, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Orange. So anyway, went to change my massage time and said, excuse me, would you mind moving my massage time to 11 o'clock?
Before you had to go move your massage time.
I know. And she goes, oh yeah, in Welsh accent, can I take your name, sir? I said, oh, it's Gareth John. And
as she should know.
As she should know. And she's taken the name and my room number and all that. And then she goes, yeah, that's done for you, no problem. I thought she was going to ask me for 20 quid, or she'd say, oh, I'm going to stick that on your bill or whatever.
Yeah.
And she didn't. And I said, oh, no charge. She went, no, don't worry about it. And I said, I'll tell you what, it's so nice. And I mean this, I still think this. It's so nice to be back in Wales where people are laid back, want to help you in hospitality particularly, and not the jobs worse you get in England sometimes. Not everywhere, but sometimes. And, I said, it's so nice, honestly. And she goes, well, with a name like Gareth John, we ought to look after you, wouldn't we?
Okay. So that's why she sorted you out there.
Yeah, because she saw the Welsh, you see.
Saw the Welsh.
Even though I don't sound Welsh at all. But.
So nice to their own kind.
Yeah. Well, dodgy territory.
I don't know why this popped into my head, but you know how you used to play basketball? I mean, do you still play it at all? Or do you just do you see a basketball? Do you have like a Vietnam flashback? Like, no! Or like...
No. Occasionally play. And I really enjoy it when I do. I'm just not in good enough shape to play regularly at a decent level anymore. But occasionally play, not that much.
No, still, because I remember when, after, I think it was my birthday, you were staying around mine, and then my brother was pissed and just started talking to us. And he goes, Gareth, do you slam dunk the funk?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah.
I remember that. I was like, wow. Even all these years later, I still cringe to when he said that. He
found it absolutely hilarious, side-splittingly funny.
He thought it was the funniest shit ever. And we're just there going...
He was literally like giggling himself into a stupor, about that. And I forgot about that one, actually. Yeah, good memory, that.
Good memory. We've had a lot of memories. The basement.
We do.
The basement.
We do, Taryn. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I know it's pre-watershed, but we can discuss the basement.
6:45. Yeah, just a bit pre-watershed, but yeah, go. Well, it'll go out another time, won't it? So we can.
I'll make sure I release it after 9 o'clock. This podcast.
Put it out in 2 parts. Put part 2 out as the basement sessions.
The basement sessions.
That sounds a bit creepy, actually, doesn't it?
It sounds like we were just hanging out with some dirty old men now, doesn't it? Like the basement sessions.
But Arthur Fritzl kind of thing. Yeah, no.
Arthur Fritzl.
Is that his name?
Joseph Fritzl.
Joseph. Oh,
Arthur Fritzl.
Cut that bit out.
Cut that bit out. What? Because you got Joseph Fritzl's name wrong?
Yeah.
Well, that's going to damage your credibility, is it? But Arthur Fritzl sounds quite nice, actually. Sounds like some guy who come around to you around Christmas. It's still a pedo, but it sounds like a nice pedo.
A nice pedo, a bit more well-mannered pedo.
That's it, you know.
No, there's no such thing. For the record,
yeah,
we're
not advocating it.
We're digging here, Tara.
We're digging bigger, isn't it? What was I going to say?
Anyway, the basement.
The basement. Because that was the first time. I mean, let's face it, we were doing some drinking below a certain age.
Yeah,
we were underage.
Absolutely.
Drinking. And it's the first. I think it was the basement was cool because those of you who don't know, besides me and Gareth, the basement was your house. And
Mum and Dad's house.
It was basically your bedroom, wasn't
it? Yeah, from the age of about 16, it was. No, 15, it was. Yeah, moved down there at about 15. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what all parents want. Just put him in the fucking basement, mate.
That sounds like my mum as well.
Yeah, just put him in there.
Fuck it. Put him in the fucking basement.
Yeah, just put him fucking there. Get him out the fucking way.
Fuck him off.
Yeah, but it was. I remember. I was talking to him earlier. Our good friend Billy.
Oh yeah,
Sunhill. Yeah, Scott called Billy because of the bill is filmed in Sunhill.
That's right. Amber.
Yes, that's right.
Amber came up with that.
Yeah,
she was. I never saw her again after that either.
I neither do. I don't know where she went. Anyway. But I remember. I love it. I want him to listen to this now because I love airing people's dirty laundry on a podcast. Why not?
Yeah, go on.
But I still remember in the basement. I walked in to take a piss, and it was in the toilet. Which I had a lot of history with that toilet, but we'll come into that in a second.
We'll get onto that.
We'll get onto that.
Yeah. My mum's coming round in a bit. She could do that bit if you want.
Invite her on. She's like, that fucking toilet, mate.
Fat me. That toilet.
But Billy was there next to the toilet, passed out, puke in the toilet, and I was like, Billy, you're right. But I really need a piss. So she just started pissing in the toilet the whole time, thinking, I hope he don't wake up.
I know, and his head was just underneath it, wasn't it?
I know. The whole time I was like, I hope he don't wake up. And luckily I got away with it.
It's one of them where you want the piss to finish. You go, fucking come on.
Mate, it was one of the longest pisses of my life, that were.
Well, sod's law, it was always going to be. It was always going to be. I remember, here's a classic. I remember when we were in the garden and we had it was one of them big Beecham parties, you know, the ones I mean. Not just like it's not just like the in-betweeners down there, or not
our random little sessions.
That they were proper in-betweeners actually. They were in-betweeners before anything like the in-betweeners.
That's why we really resonate with things like the in-betweeners and skins, because at that time we were actually doing the same things that they were showing in that show. Yeah,
absolutely. It was. I was watching. James Buckley's got a decent podcast out. Completed it, mate. And I was watching that the other day, and he was saying that a lot of people who are sort of his kind of age, nearing 30 or just past 30, which we are. Is they kind of identify with one of the in-betweeners. Oh, I was Will at school.
Oh, yeah.
Or I was Simon or whoever, you know. I think definitely in our group there was a similar set of dynamics.
Yeah, that's it, and that's what we were all like, and that's why those shows like the In-Betweeners, I find it's see some people today, like say 18-year-olds now, they watch the In-Betweeners, they don't quite get a lot of it as much because it wasn't.
Yeah, a lot of it goes out. Yeah,
whereas us, even now, if I watch an episode of the In-Betweeners, I'm pissing myself.
Oh, brilliant! And both films during lockdown, I've watched both films again, and it's brilliant. It's great script writing, I have to say. It's great script writing
because it's so real. That's what it is.
Yeah,
as a former writer myself, it's. Sorry, you're just plugging yourself all the way through this. I can do one bloody plug, it's very character driven, and I like character based dramas, and also that's why I liked. That's why I've always felt the first series of Skins as well resonated a lot with us.
Never watched Skins.
You never watched it?
Never watched Skins.
You went to the fucking Skins parties though, didn't you?
Oh yeah, of course. I was always at them. Yeah.
But didn't know what the reference was.
Well, I know. I remember that night talking to parties. I remember that night we're in the garden. It was a big Beecham party.
Yeah,
it was
I think I remember them.
All basketball team, everyone. You know what I mean? And and the well, I've lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so we're all in the garden, and there's but my mum and dad were out.
Yeah.
So it's one of them and they, to be fair, I never had a party that they didn't know about.
Yeah.
The parties were just bigger than they thought they might be.
Yeah. that's one way to look at it. Yeah.
So which is fine. Yeah, it's just a
misunderstanding. Yeah.
And I'm sure my mum will agree in a few minutes.
Of course,
And we had this big party. Everyone's outside. Nice hot summer's night, and it was the night where stuff got nicked. Remember, people's stuff started getting nicked.
Oh, I remember that.
iPods.
I luckily got away with that, but I know some people lost a lot of stuff. Not that I was the one doing. Not that I got away with it because I was the one doing the nicking, but it was because I think I got away.
Oh, you've outed me, guys.
Oh no! Oh well.
So much time's passed.
Yeah. But no, the thing is, I was spending the night in the basement, so I couldn't nick stuff and stay there. But
that's true. And it was all the iPods in the docking stations. That was what it was. They were all on the side, and everyone kept changing it.
This is mid-2000s, isn't it? iPods.
With docking stations.
And docking stations.
With the speakers.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we had a whole party on.
No Bluetooth.
Oh, none of that shit. None of that shite.
None of that faffy nonsense.
No. Oh, no.
But yeah, anyway, so we're all load of people in the garden, and there's a load of smoke coming out of the basement.
Yeah.
Don't need to elaborate there. So a load of smoke coming out of the basement, and then all of a sudden I see just that, that back alley at the back of my mum and dad's house.
Yeah.
I just see a policeman's helmet going along there like that.
Oh, no.
Bollocks. Back gate opens. They said, "Oh, hello everyone. Can we see the homeowner, please?" And I said, "Oh, I'm the homeowner's son. So they're not in at the minute. Is there anything I can help with?" And at that moment, a big puff of smoke came out of the basement. and then they went. They said, "Oh, what's your name?" I said, "Gareth John." And Ratnesh is sat with a girl on each knee. neither of which he was ever going to stand any chance with. But in his head, he was the man.
They just needed somewhere to sit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he was taking up the chair. So so one on each knee, and he said, he said, "Oh, what's your name?" I said, "Gareth John." And then Rat goes, "Gareth John is very well, you see," like that. and I turned around. It was proper in between us. I turned around and went, "Not now, Rat."
That's what it was all about, though.
It was really, yeah. It was some great times down there. Great times, and we even spent a summer doing it up, didn't we?
Yes, that's where the toilet comes in, and I always defend myself on this, but I still get shit for it. It's I fucking asked you, do you want me to paint the toilet? And then you said, "Yeah, Taryn, paint the toilet." Yeah. And bear in mind, I've been in that actual bathroom all day painting, so I'd had paint fumes in my bloody face. And then I asked you, and you said paint the toilet. I painted the toilet. Then after you went, "Well, what'd you paint the toilet for?"
But what actually happened was...
No, that is what actually happened.
No, what actually happened was you said, "Shall I paint the toilet?" I'm not... There's an element of truth in your story. Well, you said, "Shall I paint the toilet?" And I went, yeah, like that. I didn't go, "Yes, paint the toilet." I kind of weren't really listening, if I'm being honest. And I just went, yeah, like that. And then the whole paint fumes argument, it always makes me smile because my late father, bless him, whenever I said that about, Taryn, was I on the paint fumes, Dad? He used to go, "No, bollocks."
I can imagine
every time. You know how dismissive.
Like, yeah, bollocks. Bollocks on that. but it's true that then, because I painted the toilet white. And then you went and got a white toilet anyway. I was like, I did half the job for you. Why'd you go pay some money on a white toilet? I already sorted you on.
I love it how you even put it in the condolence book for my dad. You even put P.S. sorry about the toilet. Yeah,
I did, yeah.
That was it. That made me smile, that did.
Yeah, sorry about this. Because your mum, the first thing on the funeral, the first thing she said to me was, "Oh, all right, Taryn, well, watch out for the toilet."
Yeah, that's just what you're known. It's like that's what you're known for now.
I'm just known for painting
not your comedy, not your writing.
Nope. No one cares about that.
I've known you for 15 years.
Nope.
Toilet,
just toilet. That's it. But no. But I've noticed that a lot of young people now. Not that we're not young, we're just not as young as we once were.
We're edging to middle age, I think, is the phrase.
We're adults, but. That's it.
I'll take that.
Yeah, we'll go with that. But I've noticed a lot of them, because I have like relatives, obviously, and they don't do the same things that we used to do. Like in the sense that they're all a lot more sensible now. Like they don't go. The whole binge culture, I think that's more our generation. It's not really so much with these lot now. Yeah, right. Sort of hold on to there.
Really proud of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's we were talking. I was talking about it with a girl called Haley on it was the episode after yours on the podcast, and she was saying about I was talking about as a singer looking after your voice on the road.
Yeah.
And she was saying that our generation, because she's I think a little bit younger than us, maybe a couple of years younger, but she was saying our generation, but not young enough that she's in a completely different generation. No. But she was saying our generation, it's talking in the rock and roll world, like kind of thing, it is not as rock and roll as the previous. And I think in terms of like what you do with your youth, definitely, like you're kind of 18, 19-year-olds now or younger. I don't know an awful lot about it.
Yeah,
you know,
you don't hang out.
No, I don't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and but I do teach kind of everything. 11 to 14-year-olds is my main kind of teaching. Apart from the Montfort Uni, they're the main age group I teach. But obviously I don't really talk to them about what they do with the mates and stuff like that. I'm there to teach them brass, you know what I mean?
You're not going to go to an 11-year-old, so what are you doing later?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, that doesn't really come up. But but if you think, and also you think 11 to 14 are kind of like binging years. And let's be clear here. We weren't like,
not between 11 to 14.
They weren't between 11 to 14, but also even when it did happen at about 15, it still wasn't like, it wasn't out of control.
No, we weren't like alcoholics or anything.
It wasn't like in between us where he goes, we're alcoholics, you've got to help us, when Will does that with the parents, like, so, and they just piss themselves laughing, great parents. But I don't think it was like out of control. We just, you know what it was? We were a lot happier, just kind of what me and my missus now call bubbering out, where you just kind of, you kind of flop out on the sofa, beer on the go, and we got a lot of pleasure out of the simple things like, you remember Ollie Mystery?
Oh, I do remember him.
Yeah. So he's now a copper in Bristol, and him and his that mate
surprised
Greg,
me so much because some of the stuff he did in the basement.
Well, and on the street. Anyway, Taryn, good night. No. Him and Greg Brownlow, his mate, used to stay over sometimes, and we used to have a game where we had one of them big gym balls. Remember the big gym ball? In the basement?
I remember it. Yeah,
big red one.
Yeah,
and we used to have a game where you had to keep it up so it didn't hit the ground.
Yeah,
the three of us lying at various points in the room, just kicking it around the room, and we would get hours and hours and hours out of that game. And but we're such a laugh. Do you know what I mean? We probably did it a bit too much. Like we could have been a bit more productive, but could
have been living outside. But no, you were doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was the irony was it was always a lovely day outside when we were in the basement doing that. But I can't imagine that generation today doing simple things like just having a laugh.
I think it's.
I might be wrong. I don't know.
I think we were at that where our generation was that last one where we kind of had a life outside of social media. Whereas
it was in its infancy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like there like Facebook and like I remember MySpace was the big thing at one point. And
Tom from MySpace.
I was thinking about it the other day. What was his fucking name? It was Tom from MySpace, wasn't it?
And he was everyone's friend, wasn't he? On there,
yeah.
It's like Mark Zuckerberg being your friend now.
That's it. So Tom, with MySpace, you're always guaranteed at least one friend. But yeah, because and Twitter was like not really a thing when we were at school. I don't think it even existed actually.
No, I think it came along in sort of sixth form. I'll tell you why I remember it, because when I was student governor, and me and Jeremy, we used to go to these conferences and stuff, and we had to tweet about it on Beecham's Twitter. I mean, we could have we could have like caused havoc with that.
Could have said any old shit there.
Yeah, we could have really messed things up. But we, when we used to go to like student, what they called student voice conferences with other student governors, that Twitter was like the hot thing. Like, oh yeah, why don't you tweet about it? You know,
it was a new thing, wasn't it?
For granted. New thing, yeah. And Twitter's kind of gone down, but then come back up again. I can't make my mind up. It's a weird one, Twitter, to be honest.
To be fair, I've never really got on board with Twitter not because I've like been against it. I just never really focused on it. But
do you mind if I vape while we're
do what the fuck you like, mate?
Yeah. Within reason.
yeah. Don't whip your knob out or anything, but you can do that. No. You know, but if you want to, I mean, then it will be going on after 9 o'clock. But
go viral then, mate.
Oh, mate, they'll get the views in. We'll start an OnlyFans page, but but we've touched on a lot of weird topics on this, but it's
already, yeah.
But what was I going to say?
What we're talking about, Twitter,
yes, because social media then wasn't as prominent. One thing was MSN Messenger.
Oh,
I mean, does that even exist anymore?
The amount of hours of my life that I've wasted on that.
Mate, you go to school, see all your mates, you come home, you're on Messenger talking to them again. It was insane that word. But I think now, because
talking about nothing as well.
That's exactly it. Like,
talking about absolutely nothing, just lol. You're okay.
Yeah, lol.
Haha. Yeah,
LMAO.
LMAO, yeah.
LMAO.
That came in. I've never really used that one, to be honest.
Do people still use that one now? LMAO. RFL.
RFL.
That is classic. Now you just got the emojis.
Yeah, I use them now. I do use the laughing emoji, as you know, on Messenger all the time. But but one thing MSN was good for, though, was you could keep in touch with people abroad. Like I had a cousin in Germany and stuff I used to talk to on there and stuff. And you'd sit there, whatever else you were doing, homework, or or even watching TV, and it would always be in the corner, wouldn't it?
You'd always have MSN on in the background,
and it'd go bloop, bloop like that, and the messages coming up. Oh man, that was.
I had relationships which started and ended on MSN.
You never met them.
Never met them. I was like, "Oh, you're fit. Yeah, would you want to go out? Yeah. All right, you're dumped." That's literally how it would be on MSN Messenger. But now it's I think also because social media is so part of life now. It's like
it is.
It's not like something that you did. Like we had it as like just a little side thing. Like, oh yeah, I'll put this on Facebook. Now it's like, yes, this has to go on there.
Yeah, and Facebook becomes part of your a big part of your business.
It does, yeah.
And it's the thing as well is it's also constantly changing, and you've got no other option than to change with it.
You have to,
like the for example, having a business page. My wife's setting up her own business at the moment, and she said, "Oh, I need to get the Facebook page up and running." I said to her, "Well, yeah, have a Facebook page, but actually, you're going to get more traction from a Facebook group now."
Yeah,
because
Facebook groups are the big ones.
Yeah, an algorithm works that Facebook pages. I mean, I put up a photo yesterday in the studio because I was recording the vocals for my next album. Yeah. And normally, when I've done that before, anything studio related, like a picture of a mic like this, and I kind of edit it, Instagram it, and the Instagram is linked to my business page on Facebook and my Twitter account, and that always gets a lot of traction. People go, "Oh, excited, can't wait to hear it." But maybe no one's bothered about next album, which is understandable. But but it got nothing on my Facebook page. I shared it on my personal profile, and it's got all the usual comments and lots of support.
It's strange how it happens, isn't it?
Yeah, and the podcast as well. I do share it on my page now, but it doesn't really make much of a difference unless I boost it.
Boosting it, but it costs boosting it, and it's if you want to do it like get the big numbers, because
you got to spend a bit. Yeah, it's quite good. It's quite good, kind of what's the word? Click through rate kind of thing.
Yeah, you can even boost on
quite good value.
You can even boost on Instagram now as well. If you've
got
you can do it on that. But I think nowadays, if you want to start anything like any business at all, you have to incorporate social media into it, because otherwise if you're saying I'm going to start a business but I'm not going to do any social media, your business is going to struggle.
Yeah, to be honest, I always struggle with the fact that with certain musicians, they say I can understand them taking a break from social media, but some of them
taking a break is fine.
I'm not, but some of them say I'm not going on it at all, and I think you're really harming your business.
Yeah, you're shooting yourself in the foot doing that.
You've got to be on it, even if you don't. I mean, I very rarely. I've got a bit of a rule. I kind of put big personal things on there. So a tribute to my dad or my granddad, or when I got married, or an anniversary, or someone I care about's birthday, or I do big personal things on there. Because also the good thing about social media, it's got a lot of downsides, but the good thing is that it's habitual. When you get I like the memories function. When that
it's quite cool. I like the memories ones.
It was funny today. One talking to them basement parties. There was a picture came up from July this date in 2009.
Yeah,
and we were sat in. You were probably at the party. We were sat in the garden, and there was Lucy Gardner and Amy Evans.
Yeah,
or Amy Colis, as she's known now.
Oh, she's married now.
Married Ryan. Yeah, and then Lucy sat on Rat's knee, and Amy sat on my knee.
Yeah,
and it came up. I'm scrolling down my memories, and there's stuff from last year, albums, a new single, whatever. And I'm going, oh, that's cool, yeah. And then I got to that one, oh, bloody hell, old school. And then the missus looked over my shoulder and went, who's that? I went, babe,
of course.
It was 2000. I went, it was 2009.
That doesn't matter.
Do you know what I mean?
2000. That doesn't matter. No. Tell me who that is now.
It's nothing.
Nah.
So yeah, I quite like the memories thing, and it is definitely a bit of a kind of time capsule. But Twitter, going back to Twitter, it's a strange one. I mean, like today I posted my radio show, my Monday radio show. Every week when I upload it to Mixcloud, I tag all the as many as I can in the limit. I tag the artists that I've played or the bands. And I've had loads of reactions today, not just from the artists saying thanks or retweeting it or liking it, but also record labels and general public retweeting it. And there's been a fair bit of traction. And then other tweets I put out, just absolutely nothing. It's really I'm not sure whether Twitter's a prominent one or the minute, or it seems to be a big one for politics.
Oh God, politics. That Twitter and politics go hand in hand now.
They do, they do, and radio as well. A lot of radio presenters. That's one of the main things I use it for is radio, is to promote the radio show. But and I do put all the podcast episodes on there. But again, they don't get much kind of.
It's
traction.
Weird though.
It's weird.
It's some people who know how to manage Twitter can manage it really, really well. But other people like us are just like, oh, fucking, I ate chicken today. And then you tweet that and just
tweeting.
I say that, and actually a memory came up of mine. You can get like old statuses you put up on Facebook. I think in like 2008 or something, I posted a status saying, I really like chicken. And I was like, wow, my statuses have come a long way since then.
That sounds like a 2008 Taron status.
That's it,
or a 2018 Taron status.
Who knows? You never know. Not much is really involved here.
No, some things never change.
That's it.
But yeah, no, it's quite a nice, for me in my job as well, it's quite a nice, the memories thing is quite nice looking back at big gigs you've done.
Yeah.
When one of your bigger festivals comes up, and it's not that you would have forgotten about it, but to actually know, oh, on this date, it's funny when it's like on this date 2 years ago, I was there were 20,000 people in Scotland, and you look at the crowd, it's a photo you took from the stage, and you think, oh wow. And then you look and you're in your pants, like just eating crisps at home. You think, "Oh, great, I've come a long way."
Oh, have you joined TikTok?
No, we're looking into it with the Brastards. We've got one of the guys, the sax player. He's looking into it because he's on it anyway. So he's been looking into how bands and musicians can benefit from TikTok. But I haven't joined it personally.
Isn't it just prattling around TikTok?
Yeah, you'd be great on it.
Oh, I'm on it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't. Again, TikTok, I don't go on that often because I realize like this is just fucking weird.
What about? Here's a curveball. What about LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn. Yes.
I am as well. Yeah.
Yes.
I updated it all the other day. Actually, it was way out of date. It was about.
Oh man.
It was about 18 months out of date. So I just put all the new things in and stuff.
Yeah. I don't. That's one thing I do need to actually, if I want to be seen as taken seriously in employment, LinkedIn is one that you need to look at, and I haven't focused on it enough. And also I put on there that I now work with Total Obvious Comedy, T.O.C. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Founder, what did you put? Founder, CEO,
managing director, king, and all
sales
that.
Manager,
sales manager, telemarketer, and I put that on there, and then I put it like that. This is what I'm now working on, and then loads of people at my day job, because I do have a day job, they got in touch with me going, Taryn, have you left work? Have you left jobs? Have you left the job? And I'm like, no, I'm still with you. I'm just doing this as well. I mean, I'm still with you because I don't pay yet.
Well, it's funny. People say to me like, "Oh, so you've left music now? You're a full-time radio host?" No. Yeah, but that radio show host. Yeah, but that's what it says on your LinkedIn. I want everywhere. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but hang on a minute. I do Mondays 2 till 4 on a new Leicester station. Like even if it did pay, and I'm not that bothered about money from doing it, to be honest with you. But even if it did pay, that's not going to pay me full time. I'm not Nick Grimshaw. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes people struggle with like you can have more than one, understanding that you can have more than one job and more than one income stream as well. Because comedy does pay a bit, doesn't it? For you, you can.
It's a bit here and there, but then it's like you need to look at other things. Like I've even now because I haven't done this for like God knows how many years, but I'm looking to do some acting as well. Because I used to act back in the day, but I'm looking to do some of that now, and that's really just to build the portfolio up, just to build up the exposure, really.
You know what? I've thought about the same thing actually. Is I watched Hamilton the musical.
That's any good.
Yeah, you know what? Really, really clever. Really clever. It's really it tells the story really, really well. You'd like it because of the characters are really strong and they're done really, really well.
Yeah.
Sort of minimalist set, but a clever set with a rotating stage.
Yeah.
So that kind of play, they use that really, really effectively. And musically, it's just brilliant, really, really good. And a lot of strong singers, which is one of my gripes sometimes with musical theatre, is you get people who, it seems that dancing and acting always kind of come first. Singing is the last thing. But I've thought about it, is musical theatre singing, if it's done well, is not a million miles away from how I sing. So I've thought, and I've got, like yourself, I've done a lot of acting in the past. And I'm no dancer. That's my weak spot. But I'm thinking, should I get into that? Mate, I've thought about that. Being involved in musical theatre somehow, whether it's as a musical director or one thing I don't want to do is play in the pit orchestra. That's never really been me.
No.
But being on stage or being a musical director of a musical or a vocal coach of a musical or something, I've thought about, could that be like you say? I think it's a weird one because. Gone are the days of the all-round entertainer. I don't think people aspire to be all-round entertainers anymore.
It's like the Bruce Forsyths of the past.
Yeah, like, Sammy Davis Jr. is a big one for me. Yeah,
they're not really the thing anymore. It's more you focus on one thing and you do it well, as opposed to an all-round entertainer like, hey, I'm singing and dancing. It doesn't really.
Yeah. Singing, dancing, tell a joke, yeah.
But
I still believe though that if you can have a lot of different strings to your bow,
it's always good to do it.
And you might not be on ITV Saturday night, but you will be able to make a living.
It's
you
know
good. What I mean, I think
Yeah, it's good to have it anyway. It's good to have a little bit extra that you do.
Yeah, it is, and also I've always thought, I know I will do it. I was going to do it before lockdown. I've thought of giving the stand-up comedy thing a go with Ultra Comedy, like you did.
Well, it's online now. You got to do it.
Is it on? What do you mean on? What you do it online?
It's on the podcast now. You've mentioned it, so.
Oh right, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
We have evidence of it.
Yeah. There you go. You're not going to take that bit out, are you?
I'm going to repeat that one.
That'll be on your highlight reel.
That's it.
But yeah, I've thought about doing that, and I thought actually, even if I don't end up carrying it on, because I might not enjoy it, I might not be very good at it. I might use some of those skills in delivering a show as a singer.
Yeah.
Because it can often get awkward in between songs and stuff, and I might know how to break that awkwardness sometimes. And I think it will just help with kind of all-round performance. And it's even like I've on and off, I've not done it since I moved house, but on and off, I used to do the Diabolo, the circus thing with the little kind of yo-yo type, big yo-yo type.
Oh, yeah.
On the sticks, chuck it up and that.
Oh, shit.
And I've done that on and off for years since Beecham. I've done that, and I've kind of not done it for a while. But I remember a fellow musician saying to me, he said, "What have you been up to?" I said, "Oh, I've had a relaxed day. Really, I've just been out in the garden doing the Diablo." And I explained to him that I've been doing it, and he said, "Well, it's the more strings you can have to your bow, the better. It's quite a specialist skill, and you never know if you got good at it, you could always go onto agency sites as a niche circus performer, and people do hire that. And trust me, I know from being an agent and from putting events together in the past that circus performers rightfully charge a lot for their services because it takes a long time to become good.
Yeah, it's a particular skill that they're doing, and
exactly, and they've got I think it's not a bad thing to have a lot in your artillery as an entertainer. I think there's still value in that, even though people think that the all-round entertainer's dead. You might not go on and be Mr. Hay Saturday night on stage and do it all, but you can do them all separately.
I think the all-round entertainer on actual TV is probably not there anymore, but a lot of these entertainers, they do have that anyway. They do have these different skills that they're doing. It just happens to be that this particular one has taken off.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And it's you look at somebody like Craig Charles. He's as known as a radio DJ as he is an actor in Corrie, as he is go away.
Yeah, that's it. Like, go
away. He's as known in Coronation Street as he is Robot Wars, as he is Takeshi's Castle.
Yeah.
So in those roles, he's done voiceover Takeshi's Castle.
Yeah.
My personal favourite. Robot Wars. He was
Robot Wars was amazing.
Robot Wars. He was the host. And then and I always take the bit with my wife. I say that's more your generation. She's only a few years older than me, but I go, that's more your generation, babe. But she loves Red Dwarf.
Red Dwarf is good.
I've never watched it, but then I know him as a radio DJ, and I know him for his. Because one thing he's done a lot is play a lot of British funk and soul bands that are up and coming. He's helped them, and I was in one of those bands that he helped. So it's when we booked him in Leicester a few years back with Funk Nation. It was an easy sell. Like it sold out within 2 weeks. It was just we didn't have to really do anything because of his various talents. You don't do them all at once. It's impossible to do all them at once.
No,
but because of his various talents over a long career. There were all ages there and all types of people because there were our age who go, Takeshi's Castle, Robot Wars, Red Dwarf. There were my mum and dad's age people who go, I loved him in Corrie, who were brilliant in Corrie.
Yeah.
Then there's your Radio 2 listeners who are really passionate about the same music as Craig. So, I think it can still serve you well.
I think, when you've got enough variety as an artist, there's something for everybody with you as an artist themselves. I mean,
that's right. Yeah.
And then that's just that's why I started doing YouTube as well with the reaction videos. Because then there's another avenue where, who knows, maybe 12-year-olds might like my stuff. This guy's funny. He cooked a chicken. He makes pork. He's reacted to this. Although my missus, her dad watched one of my reaction videos. And it was where I was reacting to the Millennium Dome. I think it was.
Oh yes, yeah. I saw that one.
Yeah, and he was like, "Taron does swear a lot, doesn't he?"
Oh.
And my missus was like, "Yeah." And then at the end of the video, at the end of the video, and I do this for all my reaction videos. At the end, I go, "All right, take care now, fuck off." And,
oh dear. I'll be honest, mate. I didn't watch it to the end.
Brilliant.
Okay, good night.
Yeah, good night, everyone. 15-year friendship here.
Yeah. That was a take care, fuck off moment.
Yeah. Take care, guys. Now, fuck off. But I do that at the end of each one. I go, all right, take care, guys. Now, fuck off. And he watched it, and I could just imagine his face. My missus went, he literally looked at him and went.
Classic.
He's told me to fuck off.
That's see, that's the thing where some stuff that that's kind of in between is his sort of humour.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean?
That's our generation humour. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's, I mean, like the in-betweeners guys, when they've been interviewed and stuff, have said they can't get away with looking that young forever.
No.
And B, a lot of the stuff that was in it, because that's the other thing about, you say about social media and everything. Our generation was one of the last where people weren't so offended, so it wasn't quite as sensitive all the time. You know what I mean? And I don't think a show like In-Betweeners would see the light of day now. If the writers went to Channel 4 and said, "Let's do this now," I don't think it would wash. I think it's a bit too on the edge.
I think this is the problem, though, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people, especially this, we sound like old fuckers here. Yeah, this new generation,
these young bucks,
these young whippersnappers. But I think with social media, I think because people are just so easily offended by everything nowadays. So if somebody on like the In-Betweeners is talking about clunge. Talking about clunge. Now that could be argued that this person's talking down about gender inequality and stuff like that. You could be seen as that,
and saying bumder. That's
bumder.
Technically homophobic.
When really the actual joke is on him acting like that, not on the actual person who they think is gay. It's the joke's on him. But the way people would interpret it now, it was, and it's a shame though that we can't have comedy like that anymore.
I guess it's made your job and other comedians' jobs that little bit harder in terms of writing.
Thing is, though, it's it all depends on the audience, and stand-up is one of those last few bastions where you can kind of say what you like, but then you have to be careful. Yeah. But then even then, you have to be careful where you're saying it, and during the and also there's some gigs out there which there are. I mean, I like to think I'm quite left-wing. But then there's some things which are too left-wing even for me. But it's I went to this one gig. I forget the name of the artist, but I was during the Leicester Comedy Festival, and it was about this woman was doing this stand-up show about the menstrual cycle, and of course, I'm an expert on that. So I was like,
area of expertise.
I'm like, this is right on my street. This. And I was sitting there, and some of it was funny, and some of it was weird, but a lot of it was just bashing on right-wing politics and bashing on how right-wing people were and saying this is like, you can't say this stuff. Like people used to say this about women, and I was just like, okay, you're making fun of that, but it's just you're going too much the other way. And now it's like, okay, so I have to laugh at what you're saying, but I daren't laugh at that.
Yeah, there was a classic example when it comes to gender inequality. Lawrence Fox, he's an actor and musician. He was on Question Time, and it was around the time of the Labour leadership contest following Corbyn, and obviously there were three women, women in Keir Starmer. So Lisa Nandy, Rebecca Long-Bailey, Emily Thornberry was still in the race at that point, and then Keir Starmer. And they went round. One of the questions from the audience was around the panel. Who do you think would be the best person to lead Labour next? Yeah, and they said that best person. Yeah, and they went round the panel, and Shami Chakrabarti was on the panel. I think we've talked about this when we met up at a distance the other week. I think I mentioned this, but
we only ever socially distancedly meet.
We do, yeah. Well, we don't really meet.
That's how socially distanced we are.
Yeah, exactly. Scrapped off to Western Park. That's how socially distanced we are. So they went around the panel, and Shami Chakrabarti, who I like, by the way, I think she's really, she's said some really good stuff. She was on the panel, and they went round, and she said, I think Rebecca Long-Bailey, and then they got to Lawrence Fox next to her, and he said, I think Keir Starmer would be the next best person to lead Labour, and he gave some valid reasons. And then Shami Chakrabarti cuts him off and goes, well, what about the women? Wouldn't you back any of the women? And Lawrence Fox went, okay, I'll change my answer. Any of the women. There you go. You happy now? Like that, because it was like he genuinely thought Keir was the best person to lead. If he'd thought that it was Lisa Nandy, he would have said it was Lisa Nandy. It wasn't to do with their gender.
It's like you're basically fearing people into thinking a certain way. It's not right to do that, but it's dangerous,
isn't it? I mean, if you go too far the other way, then you end up not stamping out intolerance, not stamping out racism, sexism, and that's terrible as well. You know, that's and that has happened over the last few years sometimes as well, which is why it's gone so extreme now.
I think that it's one of two extremes. You're either ultra right or you're ultra left, and those in between are just seen as a bit, you know, we're basically seen as like, oh, we're just on the fence. No, it's because we're just like, well, again, it's that generation that we were, that in-betweeners generation. We were just like, well, there were certain things that we did find fucking hilarious, you know?
Yeah, and I think politically we were in-betweeners as well.
Yeah.
Because we were children of Blair, weren't we?
Yes.
So, you know, Blair and a little bit, I mean, 2010. Yeah, we
Brown,
were kind
of...
Blair and Brown. I mean, by the time the Tories got in and have been in since, we were 20. So we were men, you know, adults.
Yeah.
By that point, but we grew up under New Labour. And this is like, I used to have this run-in with my dad, was that he's very much on the, as you know, on the Corbyn sort of wing of the party. He was very much on that wing of the party. And my granddad was a lot more kind of, he had a lot more tolerance for New Labour. He was a socialist, but he had a lot more tolerance for New Labour. Yeah. And it was because he was chairman of the Braunstone Community Association.
Yeah.
So he had seen the regeneration money that they'd put into Braunstone, which now has made Braunstone a much better place.
Yeah.
And it happened in a lot of deprived areas around the country. And he also saw, because of health experiences, he also saw the improvement in the NHS in that time.
Yeah.
So he was a lot more kind of tolerant of it. And I was always much closer to my granddad's politics of having that appreciation for what New Labour have done. And let's not trash them. Because we grew up and we benefited.
Yeah.
Like, education-wise, there's no question we benefited from.
We benefited massively from New Labour in terms of that. We can't deny that, really. You know, it's something we did benefit from under Tony Blair. I mean, okay, everyone has their own opinions on him. You know, he did do some questionable stuff. You know.
Yeah, and I don't agree with it. You know, the Iraq War is where, for me, that's a red line. I think I can't.
I think. Even at the time, in America now, the Iraq War we've gone really political on this. This must be a comedy podcast, so we've gone serious on this.
Andrew Marr, eat your heart out.
You ain't got shit on us, Andrew Marr.
Yeah.
But it's,
Andrew.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, the One Show. No, but,
yeah, there you go.
But no, so I think even at the time in America, the Iraq War, everyone was for it. But over here, even when Tony Blair said we're going to war with Iraq, everyone here was still like, it was 50-50 on it. It was like...
50-50 at best.
At best, yeah. And now it's just like, that was a dumb idea.
And it also started a culture of cozying up to the States.
Yes.
And that started... Blair began that with Clinton, because they were like that. And then, obviously, there's Thatcher and Reagan as well, but... And there's other little examples, but Blair started that culture of we're going to become more and more like the States, and foreign policy wise, we're going to follow the States more and more and more. I mean, and that's just continued.
I mean, there's always been that special relationship, but it's the prime ministers here, like special relationship, but even though as Thatcher was, and even John Major, and we go back Callaghan, all that, they all had that relationship with the US, but they were all like, we're just like they're a close ally. Tony Blair's the one who took it to that next level with Bush. And I remember when George Michael brought that song out. What was it called? Oh, what was it called? Something about the dog. Was it Shoot the Dog?
Let's have a look. Hang on. I'll Google it while you...
Yeah. And I'll make some noise so we, keep the podcast going, So I'm just going to talk about this pen. As you can see, it's quite small.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. So I even have a blue version of this pen. They're very small, and I do it because it makes my hands look big.
Is it Going to a Town? Is that what it's called?
No. Something to do with a dog. What was it called? George Michael Dog. No, now I'll just find pictures of his dog.
Shoot the Dog, yeah.
Shoot the Dog, yeah. I remember that song was about Tony Blair cozying up to George Bush.
Yeah.
That whole song was about that. And that's where it started off, like, that we were basically their little lapdog.
Little poodle sort of thing. There was loads of... I remember in the Private Eye at the time, and all those kind of... In the Guardian, all those sort of papers. There was loads of... the cartoonists had a field day with that.
Oh, they loved it.
So,
the Economist and everything. All of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and The Week and all that, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I don't know. Let's talk about something funnier now. We've gone really like deep on this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so music, yeah.
Comedy.
Have you got any plans for when when eventually Leicester is free? To actually, are you got any plans for anything in line at the moment for what you're going to be doing? Like gigs-wise, I should say.
Well, gigs wise is a bit of a tricky one. I've been in contact with theatres and venues, and talking about how we could maybe try and make a socially distant show work. And also like things like, for example, things like bringing technology into it, so that because I tour with a big band. Or I use local big bands in different places. So a big band being a big swing band. So you're talking like bare minimum 10-piece band. How we use technology to make sure that we can all socially distance and it's safe. So been talking a little bit about that. In terms of releases, I've got a single coming out in a few weeks called You'll Never Fade Away. And then I've got after that, there'll be a single each month until the album launch in sort of mid-October. Which is will be pretty much 2 years to the day that the last album came out. So it's been a good kind of work rate really. I know that in previous bands I've been in and stuff, albums have taken a long time to do. And this one I kind of knew exactly what I wanted from it straight away. So looking forward to releasing that. And I'm just hoping that by that time I can at least put a tour in place. I can have a tour planned to support that release, because in this day and age, it's important to release albums, I think, for your soul and for your creativity and for your legacy. But in order to make it work financially and to get a proper buzz from it as well, you need to support it with live dates.
That's it. And it's a nice feeling to be booked up.
Oh, it's a great feeling. Yeah. It's great. And also that thing of traveling round and not quite knowing what to expect each night from your audience, which is more so for a comedian than me, because I wouldn't really change my set because I'm in Stevenage rather than Leicester. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be doing, people know what to expect really, whereas you might tailor it a little bit more, like you said when you're on my show. You might tailor it a little bit more to suit
a shirt and tie
geographic audience. Yeah, exactly. Do you dress up when you do your?
Oh, I'd look like a massive knob if I did that. I just don't know with a t-shirt and jeans. I do adapt it to the audience though. Like I was these lockdown months, I was actually meant to be gigging in London for a majority of it, and I was meant to be breaking into London as well. Like just doing that,
and that's where you want to build up.
Now
I had a few similar plans.
And now
gigging in London.
Now a lot of those opportunities may not come again, unfortunately, because of that. And it's like, but one thing I would say is that some of the times I was just sitting there like, oh, that gig's far, might sack it off. Now I'm never going to be like that. Now I'm like, that opportunity may not ever come again. But one thing I did learn, you learn a lot how to work with your audience in comedy. It's like when up north, they have a different sense of humor to what they have down south. Like down south, they'd have loved our political shit we were talking about there.
They would.
They'd have been all over that stuff.
Yeah.
But then up north is like, this is where I spoke to some people from down south. They said, "Oh, northern people just like tit jokes and stuff like that." And I was like, "Look, it's shit up north. It's shit in the north. It's shit in the Midlands. It's shit. There's not many jobs. It's crap." So when people go to a comedy club, they don't want to talk about politics. They just want to hear someone talk about tits and their dick. That's what they want to hear.
They just want to see, as Ross Noble said, they just want to see a bloke dicking about.
That's all they want to see, because it's like, it's not as easy, like, being up north than it is down south. Even though that obviously you do have struggles down south, but there's more opportunities there than there are in, say, the Midlands or up north. So that's why we want to hear jokes about, taking a shit. And a bit of racial humor. We love hearing that. I've literally built my career on that.
It's the crowds are quite different music wise in the different areas as well. Like you get a lot of your down south audiences, although this has changed in the past 4 or 5 years. Don't know why, but this has changed. It's kind of evened out a little bit. But you used to get it. You play in London. At some iconic venue like the Jazz Cafe or the 100 Club, somewhere that's got a lot of history and people expect a certain standard of band when they go there.
Yeah.
And you go out on stage and you give it a good evening, London, and all that.
Yeah.
And they've got this kind of thing of, oh yeah, good evening. Show us what you got then. Come on.
Yeah.
Like that. Do you know what I mean?
Get on with
Whereas
it.
you go up north and it's like, way, it's like, come on, let's enjoy this together. You know what I mean? Like I say, London's become a little bit more like that. And I'm hoping that spirit will carry after COVID will be really massive.
And that's what I found. In the Midlands and up north, the crowd is very much more. They're willing to get involved in the actual act itself. They want to be involved.
That's right.
They want to get in there.
They do.
In London, they do a bit, but they're more like, we've paid to see a show. We're not paid to be part of the show. We paid to watch it. It's
more that you entertain us. Yeah.
Yes. So,
and I think it's quite good training to play in London.
Yeah.
Because you've got that thing of, it reminds you that these people pay your wages, and without them sat or stood there, you wouldn't be up here doing what you love.
And they make that very clear to you.
Absolutely, in the body language. Yeah. I mean, right. Yeah.
One thing I don't do much of now is corporate gigs, because I did one.
Yeah, I didn't even know such a thing existed in comedy.
Oh, it doesn't really, and it's when you do it, you realise why people don't really do it. They pay well. Yeah. They pay fucking well, but
same with music. Yeah,
yeah, they pay brilliantly, but they just sit there and they don't laugh. And I've been giving them, and I did this one for do you know Bellway Homes, the housing company, Bellway Homes.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was a bloke.
Yeah, Bellway Homes, Bill Holmes, but Bellway Homes. They did a corporate gig, and I was hired on to do one of the acts, and then the weird thing is, I'd done the same set for about 2 weeks at 5 or 6 different venues, and it killed each time. Getting there for Bellway Homes, big payday, they were just sitting there going, yeah, okay. Yeah, oh. That's funny.
I can't think of anything worse.
Yeah, and then the one thing that annoyed me is that I said this one joke, this one woman turned to me and went, that's quite funny, that. I'm like, yeah, then fucking laugh. Yeah. Show me it's funny.
That's the thing. Or the worst one is you get, a real. I've had it loads of times, especially at weddings, corporate dinners. Is you get a real lackluster crowd.
They're just not into it.
But then you get, with the band, you get to your last song, and everyone goes, "Oh yeah, more." What, you finishing now? I think, fucking, you could have showed this all night.
All night.
You know what I mean?
Now.
And I think, just like you're done at 5 o'clock, mate, in your office job, I'm done now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Had you shown a bit of appreciation? Yeah, I remember my missus said to me, though, she said, I never get the whole encore thing. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, I don't leave the office. And they go, no, send another email. Come on, so do another one. Like in our kind of games, it is a bit weird, the whole encore thing. Like Lee Mack said on one of it. I'm a big Lee Mack fan. He's one of my favourite comedians. And he said on one of his DVDs, his best DVD in my opinion, he at the end he came back out, he went off, did that bullshit thing, go off stage, come back on, and then he goes, and then he said, I don't know what. He said, I hate that bit. Why do I do that bit? He said, you know, I was coming back. I know I was coming back. Why don't we just stay and crack on? He said, might be considered a little arrogant if I went, okay, that's the end of the show. I know I'm getting an encore. You know I'm getting an encore, so I'm just going to stay and crack on.
Unfortunately, I'm not quite at that stage yet, but
no.
No one's ever asked me to come back on. But yeah, one day.
You can aim for that, mate. Aim for that.
One day, yeah.
Aim for the stars and you might land on the moon.
Oh, piss off. You know what that reminds me of? Remember those shitty AQA revision guides with those shit jokes that used to be in there?
Oh, yeah. CGP ones.
You know what? This one's always stuck in my head. And I think it was just, I can't remember which part of science it is. I think it's chemistry or biology. I don't know. It's about diodes. And
all right.
I can tell both of us still don't know what that is. But it's... As you can see, it paid off. But,
we were in bottom set, if I remember.
That's true. We weren't the next Einsteins. We'll put it like that.
No.
But it said Diode. Wasn't that a film with Bruce Willis?
Oh.
And they wonder why we didn't do well in science. We had shit like that.
That sums it up. And we had Billy telling the teacher to fuck off as well.
I still remember that. Oh, fuck off, miss.
Yeah, because he was hungover, wasn't he?
I still remember, was it Kaka when he taught us how to swear? When he's like, was it you gun like that or something?
Oh yes, yeah. Nice guy, Mr. Kaka. I like him.
Yeah, and that's how that's how I introduced him by doing that.
Did you? Yeah. Lovely bloke.
yeah, lovely bloke. Yeah. All right. Guys, we've gone on longer than I thought we would, you know.
We have, mate. Yeah. In fact, I nearly had a Tara moment there where someone came to the mit with someone. The wife came to the door, and I kind of went like that. You know?
Yeah, that's.
Because I think dinner's nearly ready.
Yeah, I'll say me. that's why I showed I'm in charge. There, just
no.
I
fuck you. I'll fuck you.
I will fuck you.
I love that one. My mate Taryn, who's a comedian, right? And then I say that's the joke I introduced you with.
Oh, thank you. I will fuck you.
One of your best ones.
Yeah, it's the only one that gets many laughs. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna have to wrap it up there, mate.
No worries, mate.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, so it's right. Let me get into the spiel.
Even though you haven't plugged yourself already throughout this whole fucking thing, we'll give me an extension lead, mate.
So it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. It's Gareth John Music. On Instagram, it's slightly different. It's Gareth_John Music, and you can find me on Spotify as well. So all the most recent releases are on there. New single coming out in a few weeks in August. And really looking forward to that. So you can keep in touch. Also, the podcast On the Road With is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc., like yours. And I've got my radio show on Radio 2 Funky 95 FM or on their website, which is on a Monday 2 till 4.
Lovely. I'll drop the links in the description below.
Nice one. Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me. Appreciate
That's all right. Yeah, definitely. We'll do this again sometime and we'll carry on talking about clunge.
Yeah, clunge and politics.
That's the way forward, mate. All right. Take care,
nice
mate.
Nice one, Taryn. Cheers, mate.
Bye-bye.